the usual sort of rock and roll shit back then. TVs out the windows into the swimming pool, naked girls being tossed out the windows into the swimming pool and things like that, you know.
Now that we're old, you're begging the girls to come back through the window.
I'll suck you in. It's the third window on the right.
All set.
All set. Ready to rock and roll there.
All right. Nate, are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready, buddy. I don't know what we'll talk about, but I'm ready. Let's do it.
I don't know either. That's the fun part. All right. Glenn Wright has worked doing lasers, pyro, and effects for Five Finger Death Punch, Nicki Minaj, Hillsong, Travis Scott, The Eagles, Roger Waters, Will Smith, Chris Brown, and Gloria Estefan. Nate Tanner has worked for the Black Eyed Peas, LMFAO, DJ Kaskade, Foreigner, Whitesnake, The Rolling Stones, Kiss. I should have put those in different orders. Kiss, Chris Brown. It's tough.
Yeah, no, you don't want to put those two together.
I should have switched those up. See, and Kanye West would have been perfect in the middle there, but he worked for Kanye West, CeeLo Green, and Five Finger Death Punch. Living in Vegas, he's worked on Cirque Du Soleil and the Star Trek Experience, amongst other shows. First question is for Nate. And my question is, who does better catering? Is it Cirque du Soleil or the Black Eyed Peas?
Well, you're going to talk about before or after on Cirque, because when Cirque first came out, a lot of these shows, we got fed the best because the casinos were first opened.
Oh, yeah.
We literally go there for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and just have the best food ever.
Was it literally like lobster tails type stuff?
Actually, at the Wynn, we actually did to get lobster tails in the beginning.
Wow.
And it was amazing. So, but the Black Eyed Peas had a great catering team too. Very good shout out to those guys. They did an amazing job. But when you mix the two, it's tough because the casino has a lot more to choose from.
All right. Nate's way too nice. Glenn, let's start talking some shit.
Oh, wow. As far as catering is concerned, who's the best I've been with?
This is important.
Tina Turner.
Tina Turner.
On the European leg of a final farewell tour. Which one was that one? 1, 2, 3. I think number 4 final farewell tour.
For Tina Turner.
Yeah, which farewell tour is it? Is she up there with Cher right now or what? Who's the no lead?
Oh, yeah, she's up there with Cher.
We should do a bet. Who's coming back? It wouldn't be the first time I did the bet, actually.
Did you win or lose your last bet on that one? Do you remember?
It was Kiss. How many times is Kiss coming back? I mean, it's kind of...
Oh, my God. We're just in rehearsals now again to restart their world final tour.
Great. I just lost another $20.
Yeah.
No. So, all right. So how do you guys know one another? I'm assuming it's Five Finger Death Punch, but do you know each other from before?
We go kind of back way before then.
Yeah, there was a big thing between us too. Is he actually sold oranges on one side of the freeway, and I sold avocados on the other side. Mm-hmm. And his oranges started to look green like my avocados, and then I realized his ass was taking them from my basket. So it was on then.
Can't trust these guys, Nate. You gotta watch out, man. Avocados are much more expensive than oranges.
Oh my God, yeah, cool. Because the Mexican cartel's involved in it now, buddy.
Oh, the avocado ring is true. I heard it too. Did you hear the one? So, Magnum PI, Tom Selleck. So he was stealing water in Santa Barbara area because avocados take so much water. And he got busted taking the water from the fire hydrant. And I think he pled guilty and apologized profusely. But dude, Magnum PI got busted.
Oh, damn.
I know. You got to let him go. Come on.
Yeah.
Magnum PI. Anyway, on that note. All right. So, Glenn, you're English. Where are you from?
Originally from a little place called Derbyshire.
Okay.
So it's about 3 hours north of London. Pretty well geographically center of the country. So.
Any cool bands from there?
Sorry?
Any cool bands?
Let me see. B-52s.
Kind of cool.
There you go. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I could see Nate dancing to the B-52s.
Dude, I can totally dance. I'll wear my high boots and everything.
The whole deal.
Sheffield, which is only just up the road from where I live, was a big center for, the new wave era. The romantic type bands, Tears for Fears and people like that.
You've seen those photos. So if you look at the photos of Tears for Fears, and it's these like Facebook meme things. Sorry, not to get into Facebook, but hey, and it was they look like a couple breaking up in like every photo. And when you look at them now, you're kind of looks like a couple of guys not so happy with each other.
Yeah.
And they're still out there doing their shit. You know.
Oh, they are. They were really good at. I mean, I toured for a minute with Disturbed, and they did that cover song, and some of these songs stand up really well when you hear them in a completely different aspect, and they're good. You realize it's a better song than you remembered.
Yeah.
So
and then you got the opposite sometimes. You know, you're like, go back to the original, but lately it's like a lot of the originals have come back, and they sound amazing.
They sound good. Well, Punk went nuts. If you remember, Punk was like covering everything they could find.
Punk goes pop. That's right. There was that Punk goes pop era. You know, I got to see the albums. Yeah.
Yeah. I bet Debbie Gibson's phone was just ringing off the hook.
I actually have a Debbie Gibson album. I found my album stack. I have tons of them, and I found a Debbie. I didn't have Tiffany, but I had Debbie Gibson in there.
Tiffany, and we'll get you in touch with her.
All right.
The first time I actually worked with Tears for Fears was on an EDM show. They were doing an EDM thing in Miami for, what was it? The big EDM festival in Miami. I can't remember it now. It's so long since I've done it.
I'm not allowed out of the state.
Yeah.
Is that a particular reason why?
We're not allowed to discuss it on the airways.
I'll text you.
Text me back. It was because of Guns N' Roses. There you go. Can't go. No, it's not true. It's not true. People are actually listening to this now, so I know I actually have to be careful in the beginning. It's like nobody's listening anyway. Do what you want.
Just go for it.
Yeah, like my intern guy's like, dude, you have a lot of hits. I don't know what that means. He goes, it means you got a lot of people listening to your podcast, dude. And I'm like, oh, no kidding.
That's awesome.
Go find me beer sponsor. Go. Anyway.
Going back to one of your original questions, which was how do I get to know Nate? Well, I work for a company in Miami that kind of worked very closely with the company that Nate was working with at the time. And we kind of met through that. We did a lot of shows together. And then I started doing, contract work for the same company that Nate was working for. So that's how we kind of got to know each other.
And you're butting heads, or you're working in different aspects? So I know one of you are mostly lasers, really, a bit of pyro here and there, but a lot of laser.
Pyros as well. I did pyro when, we were lighting things by hand.
I just saw Pyro Pete's going on Behind the Backstage Pass with Vince's one here, so I got to listen to that because
that's going to be pretty awesome.
It's going to be great. I love Pete, so I got to check it out.
Yeah, he's one of the legends of the business for sure.
He's a great guy. I was saying, I think I might be repeating, but I said another one. I was a kid, and he was very helpful. If you ask him questions, he'll take the time to answer them.
Oh yeah.
That says a lot. A lot of these guys, you've been there and done that. And you got to respect the fact that they're going to open the door and tell you stuff. Mm-hmm. He's happy to teach you if you really are that interested. I thought it was a good guy. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't want me to get blown up because he kept telling me, go stand over there. Like I tell you every night, I tell you to go over there. And there's clearly something wrong with you.
Those tinge marks around.
Yeah. So, all right. So you're in England, and how did you get into the music industry? What happened?
I'm not actually in England.
Well, now we know. But when you were living in England, why did you come? Why did you come bother us over here?
Why'd you come out here to the States?
Yeah. What did you want from us?
Somebody need to put it right. Anyway, I'm not even going to go there. So I got into the industry. I was working. I was actually at university, and I was doing my physics doctorate, and
wow,
we were always used to play around with the shit in the physics lab. Like we used to bring the laser out to the physics lab and play around in the common room and throw parties and shit and stuff. So
that's smart guy stuff, Nate. That's what he's talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
This is smart guy shenanigans.
I guess if they use crayons, then that works.
Yeah. We got asked if we would go and do lasers for this little up and coming band. And so we went down to, they were doing their rehearsals at Pinewood Studios in London. And
sure.
They went by a simple little name called The Who.
Oh, yeah.
So
when you say doing lasers, so we're talking like roughly what year?
Shoot, back the first time I played with lasers was 19, giving my age away here now, 1980.
All right, so if it's 1980, this might be silly and you might not even know, but does the laser pen even exist at that time?
No, not at all. We're talking about the lasers we took out, took an entire truck by itself.
Isn't that great?
And 90% of the time we spent more time fixing it than we actually using it.
Oh, that I believe.
Because they were never designed to be out on the road back then. They were really fragile pieces of equipment designed for labs and, you know, huge, monstrous things compared to what I tell everybody now, you know, I can carry 4 truckloads in 2 arms now.
Incredible.
You know?
Are you the one? Are you able to do like holograms of people that are dead and whatnot? Is that your world?
I don't do that. No, that's
more like projection kind of thing.
Yeah,
I've yet to see it, but it's kind of like a neat idea. I don't know.
It does look pretty cool. Yeah,
it does.
It has to have everything. Every aspect of it has to be absolutely right for it to work properly. You know, it's very difficult to do it in an outdoor situation. It's basically a studio thing where they're going to shoot a film of it. Really, that's the only way you're going to see it properly.
All right, so you were hanging out with The Who, and they introduced you to Roger Waters.
Not really, no.
Because you're English. That's why they're like.
That's why.
I mean, I kind of grew up with all them boys. You know, like Nate worked with the Stones. Well, like, the first time I ever saw the Stones was back in the UK in the church hall in front of 200 kids.
Wow. Oh, that's pretty nuts. Were they doing a lot of blues type stuff back then, or?
They would basically just, you know, cutting their teeth and getting their craft together. And like a lot of bands back then, like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, they really didn't start to come to anything until they all shot over to Germany, did a stint in Germany, and then came back, and then they started to do things.
And my mom heard the Beatles on the radio. My mom's English, and she heard the Beatles on the radio the first time they were on, and she thought they were awful. She said she distinctly told herself that this band was never going to go anywhere.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And that was always kind of the misnomer with the, you know, the thing between the Beatles and the Stones. The Stones were always classed as being, you know, the hooligan type, you know, rough and ready rock and rollers. All the way around, really. The Beatles were completely working class people.
Sure. I think Lennon and McCartney, they wrote the first single for the Stones to sing, I think.
Yeah, something like that. And then, you know, you had a lot of the original members of the Stones, they all came from universities and came from fairly well-to-do families.
Well, that's, I think, a lot to do with the longevity. Mick Jagger's no dummy. You know, this is a smart guy. He can.
I mean, their marketing back then was great. I mean, you know, you had Estefan who did the Beatles, and he said, "This is the image we're going to give you. You're going to be clean cut, suit, haircut. Everybody has the same haircut. Each, and then the Stones went down the rock and roll route, and so but both made it big."
Yeah. You know what I wonder? So I saw, I think it was probably an old interview, but it was Daltrey on an interview with one of these big guys on TV. I don't remember who it was, and he gets into like details of just destroying a hotel, you know, they're driving a car into a swimming pool. And I'm thinking, if you're that fucked up, how do you remember putting the car in the swimming pool? Or is this somebody who works for you saying you put the car in the swimming pool?
Did you know what you did yesterday? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't believe you can remember that much.
Back then, I mean, it was, you usually had a guy from the record label with you who carried a briefcase full of cash.
Yeah.
He basically paid off the hotel. So we'd roll into an hotel. It was completely wrecked when we left it. You know, the usual sort of rock and roll shit back then. TVs out the windows into the swimming pool, naked girls being tossed out the windows into the swimming pool and things like that, you know. And, you know, we had tour buses back then, but that's what it was. It was a bus. You know, like
now that we're old, you're begging the girls to come back through the window.
I'll suck you in. It's the third window on the right.
Please come back. It was a joke. He's English. You know, it is true. So why do all the English bands destroy everything? Us American bands are very good people. There's no destruction.
They were extremely well behaved, the American bands. I was really surprised when I came over here how well behaved it was. I mean,
Nate and I are not surprised.
I was going to say, we saw Wayne's World. Come on.
Wayne's World.
I mean, the industry has completely gone turned about now. It's extremely corporate. You know, everybody behave themselves. You know, it's all about, you know, your corporate sponsors. I mean, you look at the band that I'm working with now, you know, when you tell people who you're working with, who are they? Okay. Well, they're a pretty well-known rock band, actually.
Yeah.
And, you know, the guy that is like the founder of the band, very, very up on the business side of things. I mean, he's got his fingers in so many
smart dude, yeah,
slices of the pie and making bank money. So, I can't fault them.
Well, I think it's kind of like what they do. I mean, it's what you grew up on. I mean, the Stones, I don't know, how old was Jagger, for example? And then they were 20 years old when they started the band, maybe?
Yeah, well, when they first really started, I mean, they were in...
Well, you guys go to uni at what, 16, I think, right?
Yeah, I was at uni at 17.
17.
I stayed an extra year at school as such and then went straight to uni.
So I think he finished up, Mick Jagger. So he went to Oxford, didn't he?
Yeah. There was you know, you had that group that went to Oxford and you had the group that went to Cambridge. Well, the Oxford group spawned all your big names from, you know, the Rolling Stones, John Cleese.
I am from Cambridge. Let me warn you.
All the Monty
It's like all the duds. He's getting close to it.
And there's
Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean, and all those people all came from there.
From Oxford. See, Cambridge, I think the Pink Floyd is obviously Cambridge. Yeah. Attenborough. Attenborough. I don't know what else. I don't know how much more, but.
I mean, they were equally as good as each other. I mean, they all spawned various sort of like superstars.
Yeah. What was it like? I actually really do love Roger Waters, and I love Pink Floyd. What was it like working with Roger Waters?
Roger Waters is a true gentleman. I mean, he spent the time to go around everybody on the crew, talk to you, find out your name and everything, background and all the rest of it. And, you know, 2 or 3 days later, he walked past, you go, oh, hi, Glenn. Oh, hi, Dave. You know, he never forgot who you were, you know, and it was never a case of, well, it's us and them sort of thing. I'm the superstar. No, he loved his crew.
See, that proves it. He did not do too many drugs, because if he had, he wouldn't remember everybody's name.
That's true.
Yeah,
making big leaps here. So did Roger Waters like Cirque du Soleil? You know, there's a story. I don't know if it's true, but I was told Axl found Robin from Nine Inch Nails, Robin, because Robin was playing in Cirque du Soleil. He was playing guitar, and it was one of his like bucket list things is that he wanted to play in Cirque du Soleil. And the interview process was very difficult because they're like, who are you? And they're like, well, I'm from a band called Nine Inch Nails. And they're like, yeah, we don't know. Yeah. Who are you?
Oh, wow.
Isn't it? I don't know if it's true, but I feel like it is. I think he might have told me. I can't remember. I think he told me it. But if it is true, it's kind of a neat thing. I know for sure he did play for a minute with Cirque du Soleil because he wanted to.
Yeah, he could have, because there was a gentleman way back when O first opened in 98-ish, whatever. He actually was one of their production managers for Nine Inch Nails, and he was also working for O at the time. So I can see there is some kind of relations with
Did you do O? Is that one of the ones you did?
Yeah, it's one of the shows.
Dude, I almost cried. Or maybe I cried. But it was beautiful. Dude, they're on the water, the whole clown thing. I don't know. I don't want to give it away at all here.
Yeah. But isn't it crazy, the music and how everything flows?
Oh, it was like next level. Incredible.
It was fun during creation times on that one, creating that show. We had a lot of fun.
I mean, how much water was in there? Huge, right?
1.5 million gallons.
Wow. Did you go skinny dipping in there?
I did, but, you know, I'm not going to tell you when. But the front Bellagio feature, for example, when it does an all fire with that water, when it shoots it up, when it all fires all cannons, it shoots up the O pole. It shoots up 1.5 million gallons of water in the air. Wow. So during what we call dark weeks, when they had to fix the lifts and all that, we had to empty the pool. We just basically drain it out to the front feature and they shoot it in the air.
Yeah.
Pretty neat. It's like what was that show? Tim the Toolman Taylor. More power, more power. That was really good. So how many shows did you do with Roger Waters?
I did the first run of Dark Side of the Moon. And then when he came back recently, we did, what's it, 1, 2, 3, 3 shows in Mexico, big outdoor shows. Probably one of the biggest video wars I've ever seen in my life. I think this thing wrapped around the stage and it was 180 feet across. And we had a company from the Netherlands called Airworks that provided the chimneys for the Battersea Power Station sequence. We spent another 180 feet up in the air. We did, like I say, the 3 shows there. I think we broke the record for the, because it seems to be a case down there, you go and do a show down there. We did 2 shows at a place called Foro del Sol in Mexico City, which is the Grand Prix circuit. And then we went to Zocalo Square, which is where all the big bands go and do a free show for the city. I think we broke the record there. I think we beat U2. We closed off the city for 30 miles perimeter, and had satellite video screens everywhere and sound. And then we came back from Mexico and went straight to California to do the inaugural desert trip.
Wow. And they were doing Dark Side the whole time?
Yeah. Well, he also did a few of his current stuff as well. But the desert trip was supposed to be 1 weekend, but they sold it out within 45 minutes of.
Is that opening. Coachella?
No, it was at the Coachella grounds, the Polo grounds, but it was an inaugural festival, which was, let me get this right. Friday was Neil Young and the Rolling Stones. Saturday was Bob Dylan and Paul McCartney with Rihanna. And then Sunday night was The Who and Roger Waters.
Huge. Jeez.
Yeah. I mean,
everybody's there.
Yeah.
As Mick Jagger said on the stage on that show, he says, this is the See 'Em Before the Dead tour. You're not going to see this lineup again.
Yeah, ever.
But like I say, they sold out. So we ended up doing 2 weekends there, which was a real pain. We had to sort of like chill at this fancy hotel for a week in between the 2 weekends. So it was tough.
Yeah. Did you have any lobster tail?
we had Roger Waters that happened to have the largest green area, classic like a green room, but it was an open air area. So everybody came to the Roger Waters compound. The Stones, Paul McCartney, everybody chilled out in that compound. So it was cool. We got to see a lot of people.
You try kicking him out? If I was stage manager on that gig, I'd be like, Roger needs space, Paul. Off you go.
30 people.
Yeah. But it was a case of everything on that was just over the top. The video system, the inflatable chimney things, the lasers that we used. He wanted to create the pyramid structure or the prism, and I says, yeah, we can do that. He says, well, I want to do it over the entire audience.
Wow.
So we created this thing that would project with lasers the entire pyramid or prism over the entire audience, and then from the front of the stage, we shot through with 64 lasers doing the rainbow.
How long does something like that take you to design?
We were in the design and build for that because everything was custom made for it. We were 8 months, but they didn't pull the trigger on the final say-so until maybe six weeks before going into rehearsals, which was a nightmare. We were working like round the clock, 24 hours around the clock, putting this shit together. And then we went down to, where the hell did we go? I can't remember now. We took over 2 big arenas to do the rehearsals, one for the lighting rehearsals and one for the band rehearsals. And then we brought, the last 2 days, we brought the 2 together and did the full rehearsals before we shut off down to Mexico. The biggest problem for us.
How did you go from school into music? What was the catalyst?
Kind of just fell into it by accident, really. You know, I was always a lover of music, any kind of music. I mean, I've worked with so many different genres. I never sort of held one particular genre over another. But yeah, I just love music, and so I got into, you know, going. Because
not to take away from any part of the other industry, but it's got to be a unique challenge on every tour because, you know, I want the pyramid over it, and then you have to really start from scratch to figure out how to make this happen, and then you go to the AC/DC's Bell or something. I mean, it's very different.
That's what it was. We actually designed everything from scratch, you know, apart from the actual lasers themselves, but we designed all of the equipment that would actually take those beams from the laser and actually make this damn thing for us. And it was, like I say, everything over. It was like the U2 thing, you know, everything was over and above, and now it's all sitting in mothballs in a warehouse somewhere because it can't be used anywhere else except outdoors in a big festival site.
Yeah.
When he went from doing the outdoor shows to doing the indoor arena shows, we had to completely redo it and scale it down to a minute affair.
Well, they got that Pink Floyd museum tour thing going around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Set it up. So, what about you, Nate? Were you? I'm gonna guess you started rigging, or am I wrong?
No. Actually, I started when I was 14. So we had out in Ontario, California, they have a high school that used to be a college back in the old days. That college, a new college, was built upstream. So this high school became a college. Let me give you an example. O has about 1,800 seats.
Okay.
This one here had 2,100 seats in this high school auditorium.
Wow.
Balcony, APs, everything. And when I was 14, I didn't know about stage. I had no idea. So my brother was like, hey, dude, you want to do a class where all you do is roll up cables? I'm like, hell yeah. And from there, I fell into theater, which was rigging. We started to do all the rigging, the backstage management, audio, lighting, all that stuff. Then I eventually got the keys to the showroom. I started to open up the football area every time there's a football game. And I even got called out of class to go set up lights and the microphone in the gymnasium for the prep rallies. So literally I'd be sitting there in history and like, hey, Nate Tanner, please report. I'd be pulled out of class to go set up already. So from there, I just continued on with it, man. Just kept going with it. But I always, just like everybody else, we got into the rock scene and the rock business of tours because all the stories we heard, you know,
yeah.
we wanted to live them too. We're like, I want to live from these guys. And then now since we're getting involved now, when the cell phones came out and everything else came out, everything went.
Yeah.
You know? But we got into it from a lot of the stuff that we heard. I still got to witness a lot of some of the same.
What year did you start?
Touring? God, the Black Eyed Peas was my first tour, and I couldn't even remember. I would say maybe 2004 or something.
Oh, like so you have camera phones and everything by then.
Yeah, and because I started theater back, like I said, in 80 something. And then I worked over at the EFX Theater, which is the Automation MGM, about 95, 96. And that's when I started to make stupid money, working stupid hours, stupid everything, and buying everything I could the whole night, you know, normal stuff we do when we get to that age. So, but yeah, bought my first house when I was 19 and been going ever since.
Glenn and I want to move in.
Go for it. I got room for you guys.
I took a break from the industry. You know, I got to a point where it was like, I can't consume any more alcohol. You know?
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't a case of, I was never really into the, how can I put this? I was never really into the drug scene, but you didn't need to be because, you know, you get onto a bus, there was so much coke just in the air. You had a contact eye the moment you walked on the bus. So, and I kind of got dismayed with the old scene. It got kind of crazy and stupid, and you know, people were, you know, dying and committing suicide and things like that. And it was like, okay, I'm done with this for a while. I jumped out of the industry and went into nuclear engineering, and that's how I came across to the States.
So when you took a break, what was the band that made you need a break?
It made you change.
The band I was with at the time that kind of made me change was Iron Maiden.
Oh, wow. Did you tour with Batty?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, it was just.
Yeah, I actually did a tour with Spider and a couple other guys because at the time nothing was going on, and they were with me with Chris Brown. Yeah. They put Iron Maiden dudes with Chris Brown to me. It was hilarious. I just kept hearing stories beyond stories. It was awesome. Yeah.
So I jumped into the nuclear industry and utilized my physics doctorate, and that's how I actually came across the States, because I did an intercompany transfer and came over to work for Westinghouse Nuclear, doing project engineering for them. I did that for 2 years, took a golden handshake. I was in Pennsylvania at the time, and then I didn't like the weather in Pennsylvania, so I went down to Florida, sat down in Florida for a little while, not really wanting to do anything, just chill and enjoy my life, and ended up falling back into the industry again, doing lasers and bits and pieces, and it just kind of snowballed.
And then comes back.
It always does, it always does.
So what was Iron Maiden like back then? Batty had some crazy stories. That guy's a storytelling machine.
They were just unreal. I mean, it was like nobody ever slept. It was like just nonstop party.
See, that's why we got into this business. Yeah, back in the day we were kids, we can handle it. You know what I mean?
It got to a point where it was like, shit, if I don't stop doing this, I'm going to end up, in an early grave somewhere.
Yeah, it was my birthday a couple weeks ago, and they all went to my friend's house to have a party, and I went to sleep. And my girlfriend, she's like, "What?" It was like 10 o'clock at night. It was nothing crazy, and they're like, "What the hell?" I'm like, "I've been there, done that. I'm going to sleep. You guys go have fun."
We're at that point. We're at that point.
T-shirt, yeah. But it's like that old adage: don't never fall asleep downstairs on the tour bus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I woke up a few times with various sort of hieroglyphics painted all over me.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, it'd be easy for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Glenn's out. You just send a message to everybody. All right, everybody in.
You're a deep sleeper, huh?
Oh, yeah. Well, especially when you've had probably about a quart of Jack Daniels. That will do it.
I always made it to my bunk. I never had any issues.
Same. Always made it to the bunk.
Always make it to the bunk, yeah.
I did eventually, yeah.
But you had hieroglyphics all over when you got in the bunk.
Yeah, it was fun times. Those were great times back then. Nowadays, it's a little more sort of sedate. There's still the odd party, but I mean, it's definitely more business orientated nowadays.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you have to watch your P's and Q's, and just be a little bit more careful. And plus the fact, with the technology we have today, the moment you do something, it's all over the world.
Yeah.
Back then you could get away with anything. There was no cell phone cameras. There was nothing.
What was Henley like? Was Don Henley all right to you?
Oh yeah, he was fine. I did the Eagles a few years ago when they did the run with the Doobie Brothers. Don was great. Joe Walsh. We had a regular gig with Joe Walsh at the House of Blues in Vegas. Anyway,
love that guy.
One of the most obviously, because Glenn was already passed by that time, but one of the most unique things on that was we had Deacon Frey, Glenn's son, who, if you close your eyes, sounded just like Glenn, probably maybe 30 years ago, and looked like him as well, and played just like him. So it was kind of scary when you first sort of see him. But they're still great. They've got Vince Gill with them now as well. Great band to play with, and I called it a gentleman's tour. We did one show a week.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. It was like one show, go to a nice hotel somewhere.
Yeah, those are the best weekend warrior tours.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's all right.
Cool. So yeah, they were nice people to work with, and still put on an excellent show. I mean, they still just sound like they did way back when. So
I got it stuck on the Big Lebowski thing. I just can never get away from it. I hate them. They should intro the song, their whole set with that. It's so good. CeeLo, I love CeeLo. What did you do for him, Nate?
He was a good cat, man. We it was really cool. Is we actually did the Pyro for his residence show out at Planet Hollywood. So they dropped off a flatbed truck at our shop, and we the guys at the shop and everything else. I wouldn't say we, but I was working out the gigs at the time. But the company, they basically created his piano to catch on fire. So the whole gig is that he literally drove down the Las Vegas Boulevard on a flatbed, playing a flaming piano with 4 little truss towers of flame units and pyro and some dancer girls, basically all, tethered in and stuff like that. Came around the corner, still just flaming piano, singing the whole 9 yards, stops in front of Planet Hollywood, stairs come down. As he walks down the stairs, just a bunch of pyro happening and stuff for him to come down. But I was also involved in his show in Automation Land. So we were there running the automation for him for his residency. So the lifts and the whole 9 yards. And yeah, he was a pretty good cat, You
watch him on that Daryl's House show, where Daryl Hall gets random buddies to come in and perform.
No, I didn't see that one.
That one's worth watching.
Okay.
Yeah, the guys, he's hiring the best guys in the world. And they look over when he starts singing like, whoa. That's a compliment. He is that good. I love that guy's voice.
Yeah, he definitely has a lot of talent.
Yeah. All right. And the Star Trek, did you have any wacky people hanging out, or was it pretty chill?
It was cool. We did, like I said, during that time, I did a lot of installs for a lot of these shows because I was young. I worked 24 hours a day like anybody else and never complained, the whole 9 yards. And the Star Trek was pretty cool because we built literally everything to look identical to Star Trek. The bridge was identical, the walkways, the doors open and closed, it made the noise. Because I was a little guy and also I was a rigger, every time they had starships hanging or vice versa, and they had to get in there, I would be crawling into these starships, working on the bolts and stuff while people are in the lifts on the outside. But yeah, we're doing a lot of the automation stuff. It's actually a lot of the PRG system, and we create little portals, move in the whole 9 yards, and eventually got all that working. And then I'd move with the PRG guys to the next set, and we do like Masquerade in the Sky at the Rio or some of these other big production shows. At the same time, I was still working my main job, which had been EFX or one of those other shows.
Yeah, I worked for LSD. Remember that PRG bought LSD, and there was a lighting.
And SSE.
Yeah, it was they were Birmingham guys, I think. Also, I worked for there for a little while, but I didn't do much because I didn't want to be a lighting guy. So I would just pretend that I was like learning. Yeah. And I was trying really hard to learn literally nothing.
Just give me all the conventional lights. I don't want any movie, just like the straight.
Yeah. Sorry, man. They keep breaking all the time. They're heavy.
Yeah. Dude, you don't want to worry about that stuff.
No, it was rough.
The guys that had the first moving light system out, they did a thing called the Icon.
That was it. So I was doing the Icon lights, and the Icons just broke all the time.
Oh yeah.
And they weigh like, I don't know, 80 something pounds. I think probably about 80 pounds.
And they spent more time fixing the damn things than they ever using them.
Well, when you turn on, you could light your cigarette, and that was the big deal. And then they'd get all mad. Don't do that. No, don't do that. But then you got to do it because you're like, is it true? I'm like, oh, let me show you.
Yeah, you have to. We did that with some lasers too. We actually turned them all the way up, like your cigarette on the laser beam.
Yeah, it's expensive lighter.
I worked with the boys from LSD and SSD. I used to do the Monsters of Rock Festival at Castle which was their gig. Back when, we never had chainfall, we never had electric hoist or anything like that. We were picking shit up by hands, pulling it up with a chain hoist, and that's when it was back in the day. That was all
hemp roast with the sandbags, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy,
Where are you now, Glenn? What state do you live in?
I was in Florida, down near Boca Raton, but I've just moved in January back up to Pennsylvania. I'm near Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
So, like anybody in this business, it doesn't matter where you are, as long as you're close to an airport, that's all that matters,
Yeah.
And our main office is actually up here in Pennsylvania anyway, so for the company that I work with.
And so you guys actually toured with Five Finger Death Punch together?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we did. I brought Nate in on that gig.
He did. It was actually...
I already had the gig, so...
It was a cool way to win it over because Glenn knew I'm a huge fan of those guys. And Glenn's like, hey, they usually use confetti. at the Red Rocks, but they found out the bill is insane. So for that same amount, let's do some Pyro. So I said, all right. And I said, I'll drive it up myself to make sure it gets there in time. My brother, massive fan too. He's actually a fireman. He's like, I'll go with you. I'm like, cool, I can't pay, but I'll feed you. He's like, no worries, just do it. So we went out there, and, you know, Glenn, you know, knows all the good stuff he did. So he has no worries. And the band was like, I need flames and SSS. I said, cool. I know every beat, every song, because I've been a percussionist for 7 years. So I can read music the whole 9 yards. So I'm like, just let me know a song. I'll make sure you get it. And at the end of it, Zoltan, which is the, you know, a 5-finger, comes up and goes, I want you to start doing our, you know, our tour, because the way I shot it. And I even had people from Sirius Radio and all that going, whoever the Pyro guys, well, we'll give you a shout out. That was insane.
That's nice.
Yeah, it felt really good. And I was like, all right, I'll do it, Zoltan. So I went out with them. And, you know, again, all they had to do is tell me what song. They didn't even have to tell me when the cues or anything happened. I'd make sure it's on the beats and any hits, whatever.
It helps when you actually like the band a lot, you know?
Oh, huge. And
yeah, I mean, for me, like if I was to get to go out with Roger Waters, I mean, I would.
You know everything on that thing, you know?
Oh, God, yeah. Ridiculous. For sure. Everything. I loved them.
They're a nice band that they look after you out there on the road. I mean, it's touring like it's supposed to be. I mean,
a bunch of cool cats, man. Really cool cats.
Did you ever get sick of Dark Side?
No, not really. I mean, really? I love the music. I grew up with that kind of stuff, and you know, it was our part of it was we had one cue, and
still too much for Glenn.
Yeah.
Why didn't I stay in school?
Yeah, that's
why God invented time code.
No, I didn't. I did one tour and I got pretty tired of the band, and I had liked them. And that's the worst, is when you're like, God, I liked them. And now when it'll come on the radio at your friend's house or whatever, you're like, fuck.
Yeah. A lot of times too, like when you go on the tours, when a particular song comes on, it goes, yeah, that was the best song because that was the lost song of the night right before Loadout started.
Yeah.
You're like, I know that song because I'm going to go out and get all the stage hands and bring them in. I love that song.
We're looking like, this is where the hell is everybody? Get over here.
The crazy
I told you guys.
On that run was not so much all of the lasers. Yeah, that took a while to set up during the day and night before. But for us, the big thing was the smoke. So to do a smoke over a citywide area like for Zocalo Square and for the Foro del Sol Stadium or the Grand Prix track, and down at the Polo Grounds at Coachella. It was like, how do we cover that massive area with smoke?
A lot of people with vape pens.
And it was like, so, okay, we're going to buy some jet engines. So that's what we did. We bought 4 jet engines from a surplus army sale, military sale, and converted them to generate smoke.
I got 4 in my house. Nothing big
about. So we had these 4 jet engines.
Things were insane.
A crazy amount of smoke. I mean, you could smoke out downtown LA in about 2 minutes.
And that's coming from Florida.
Yeah.
Doesn't Glenn like remind you of Max Headroom or something right now? Because you can just see his chin only.
Oh, huge. I was waiting for him to go that, you know?
We did run into a huge problem.
You can't figure out how to move a camera. You can do nuclear shit, but he can't adjust the camera.
I know, dude. You're a nuclear physicist and he's designing fucking lasers.
I'm telling you, man. Get the crayons out. He'll write formulas with crayons.
Oh, yeah. You need it. I've known on the tour with 5 fingers.
I have no idea.
If something breaks, go fetch Glenn. You know, it's like they woke me up one night. We were going from Vegas over through the desert to go over to LA, and they woke me up at my bunk and says, hey, Glenn, one of the buses has broke down. They've lost their suspension. So I had to go and fix the air ride suspension on one of the buses. It was like, what is this? This is not my job. You know?
Did you make the parts or did you order them?
It was a MacGyver shit. You know, there ain't nothing you can do with a few screws and duct tape.
So speaking of Ben, Glenn, I'm going to ask you, can we tell him the bus story on 5 Finger?
Oh yeah, why not? It's fun.
I'll let me tell my story and then he's going to tell you his. And this is probably one of the best what the F Glenn stories that I have, right?
Okay.
I'm not saying I have a few, but I have many. So, it's coming. So we go, I forgot what studios we're going to. And usually, like I said, there's times, Glenn will come out and help me if needed, which is really nice. Appreciate that. Other times he's sleeping because he would have to wait till everything's set before he put his lasers up top. So he'd wait. So he'd show up noon, whatever time it is before rehearsals, and put the lasers up and, fine tune and all that. So we don't ever expect him to be there at load in at 8 a.m. So we're at this venue, and I think it's probably around noon, 12:30, 1 o'clock. Everybody's asking around, you seen Glenn? I'm like, nope. Anyone else seen Glenn? Nope. Anyway, let's go check his bunk. He's not in the bunk. He's not in the bus. Anyone seen him on production? No one's seen him today at all. So I'll let Glenn jump in on this one now.
The way that it happened was, again, this was on a
Glenn, move your camera up. I can't see you, buddy.
Oh, sorry. I must have caught it with my foot. Hold on a second. There we go. So the way that this happened was, again, we were on a trip going across from Vegas we were doing a show. Our first show was in, what's that old arena? I can't remember the name of it now, but anyway, so we've done a show there, then we were going to travel from there all the way up to where Google Land is. And there's an outdoor arena there. So
we're doing festivals. This was a shed tour as well.
Yeah. So the bus broke down. So we had to our bus broke down, so we had to jump out of our bus and jump on another bus. And there was no bunks available. We had sleeping on it. I was sat in the jump seat next to the driver, half sleeping, half talking, whatever. And he pulled into in Bakersfield, he pulled into a rest stop area, fuel up, hit the bathroom. So me and the driver got off the bus together. We walked into the restroom. We stood side by side, doing our thing, chit-chatting. He finishes, he walks off, washes his hands and disappears. I finish, I go wash my hands. I'm walking out. Where's the goddamn bus? Okay, you must have moved around to the pumps or something. So I'm walking around this damn place. Nothing. There's no bus. I thought, he's going to remember that I got off the bus with him, and he's, missing the guy that he was stood next to in the bathroom. Nope, he never did. So, because normally when you get
he just had his pajamas. He had no phone, no wallet, and he walked outside and no bus.
I mean, I have my wallet with me.
Luckily, though, I mean, of all the places to be stranded, Bakersfield is right up on the top of the list, right?
Yeah, dude.
So I'm like,
at 2 a.m. or whatever.
I thought, what am I going to do? So it's like, okay, got on the phone in the gas station, use their phone, call a taxi. How much is it going to cost me to get from here to wherever it was we were going? It was like another 400 miles up the coast. He's, that's going to be about $700. Fuck that. No. Is there a Amtrak station anywhere around? Yes, there's one here. So they took me to an Amtrak station. This was like 4 o'clock in the morning. The first train is at like 9 o'clock. So I got myself a ticket. I got to go so far on this train, jump off it, and never eat the food on an Amtrak train. For God's sake, it's a nightmare.
And you're in your pajamas the whole time?
Well, kind of. Yeah, I was in comfortable clothes. So I had to jump off the train at a certain point, take a bus across, and then jump on another train to get up to where I was going. Then take another bus. I arrived at the venue at like 5 o'clock. I'm walking down the ramp to get to the place. Who was, God, Glenn, you're here. I said, yeah. He says, we've been ringing everywhere. He said, we've had your guy in Europe. We called in to see if you knew what had happened to you. We thought you were dead on the roadside somewhere. So, yeah, I got there and the gig went off.
For me, I'd still be in that truck stop eating tacos in Bakersfield.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, and at the time, you remember Bruce Wright, our production manager and tour manager at the time, and also our front of house audio engineer, he wound the driver up and says, you better disappear because Glenn's looking for you. He's going to kill you when he finds you. He's like, because this guy was a brand new driver. He'd never driven a tour bus before. He'd been driving Greyhound buses, and it was like.
Did you fire him? Did he get canned?
No, we didn't fire him. He came up to me and says, "I'm so sorry." He was like shaking. He says, "Don't worry about it, buddy." He says,
"But you're nicer than me. I would have been pissed."
Oh, we had so many rumors going around. It was great.
I didn't realize that the guy that stood next to you in the restroom is not sitting next to you on the bus now. And I was in the jump seat next to the driver. He was like, "I just didn't realize." I said, "Okay, whatever."
You ever miss the bus, Nate? I never. Oh, no, I did once, actually. I did.
No, never missed the bus. Even if we were the last ones out, we're always in the shower trying to run and catch the bus before it try to leave because everyone's waiting on us. But yeah.
I missed a bus, and I used to go to the Van Nuys Flyway to save the band a couple bucks instead of getting a taxi cab.
Mm-hmm.
So the Flyway would take me to the airport would take me to wherever. And we were actually going to Philadelphia, I think. So I missed the plane. And so I get to Philadelphia, and the venue's like 3 hours away from the airport. So whatever, it's $500, whatever it costs. And it's this huge fella, and he has no teeth. And he's like, "Show me the money." So I show him I have the money. He's like, "Okay." So he's driving me there, and it was in this Cadillac, and it had all these tassels everywhere. And because he was such a big guy, we'd get in, and the whole thing just went whoosh down to the ground. And then the whole car went back like this. So I'm back in the seat driving with this guy. And I couldn't understand what he's talking about because he has no teeth. So we're halfway there. So you're an hour and a half towards the venue. And all I heard was David Lee Roth. And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, good guy. Yeah, good guy." And okay, yeah, no, I never liked Van Halen. Never. Yeah, they're bad band. And I'm just thinking, like, I don't know what the hell's going on here, but I just want to make it to the gig alive.
Yeah.
And what had happened was, because he was such a big guy, I guess he asked for an autograph or something backstage, and the security jumped him because he was scary when he just wanted to say hi or something.
Say hi to the guy.
Yeah. So that was really awkward drive. So I just sat there trying to be really quiet and hoping that he got me there okay. But I did. I got there. I did what you did. I got there real late, and then everybody, oh God, did they give me a hard time.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah, I almost missed a flight to Abu Dhabi with Stones, because literally I went to the airport and the thing is out in LA, and it said your flight's here. And I'm like, "Oh, cool." I waited there for like 45 minutes. I didn't see anyone here. And then it didn't say anything about my change. I didn't get anything on my phone saying it changed any of that. I walk up, they kind of like, "Oh no, that's completely in this other terminal, like off." And I had to get on like trams to jump terminals. And I was running through everything. I literally got there as the last person was boarding the plane. And on that same note, 2 other people from the tour completely missed their Abu Dhabi flight because, again, that airport didn't update anything. And then we're just sitting there waiting.
Oh, so that's the worst. I mean, yeah, it's worse when you're very far away and you had lots of time to get to it, and now you're just
sitting
rushing
there. And it was Abu Dhabi too. It was a big old flight too.
You'd go through an airport and you knew the bartender by his first name.
Oh, I know. It's so bad. I got to that point too. Yeah. Hey, Fred, good to see you.
How you feeling? Same thing.
What happened last night, right? Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway, all right. So unless you have more stories, but I'm sure you do, but there's my buddy has his daughter's in 5th grade, and she had some of her little girlfriends over, and they were finding out I was going to do a podcast. And they said to me, "You need to ask your guests when they first felt famous." And I like the idea of it. You don't need to be a celebrity to feel famous, but when do you think first comes to mind where you felt successful, famous, celebrity, any way you want to take it? Bear in mind, it was a 5th grader. So
mine actually was most recent, I would say, as the famous part. I mean, that's a tough question because when you're on tour and you do have certain times where people find out you're roadies, they do treat you differently and, hoping to get tickets on ours. But the time was with a 5 Finger, actually, because I shot Pyro on the stage, full stadium. Ivan, the lead singer, was like, "Hey, meet my Pyro guy, Nate," kind of thing. And he was like, "Everyone say hi." Like, he had me, and the entire audience said hello to me. You know what I mean? It said, "Hey, Nate," and because he pointed me out and made sure that I know. So I would say that moment, or I say before that, I was the Rolling Stones, Abu Dhabi, and I was the carpenter at the time with the automation, and I walked out on stage to fix something before they went on, and Abu Dhabi was full. And I just stood there because it was in the dark, but I just looked out as far as my eyes can see in that crowd. And I was like, wow, this is the rock star life right here. You know what I mean? So that would be it.
You were one of the knuckleheads?
One of the knuckleheads.
I like it.
I had a similar kind of experience with Five Finger. It was actually on this last run we did last year when we were in Europe, and January is my birthday, and we were actually doing a show. I think we were in Berlin, and Ivan again, who's got an heart of gold as a lead singer. I mean, dragged me up on stage, had the entire audience, like 30 or fans, singing "Happy Birthday." You know, it was like, okay, this is cool. I can go with this.
That's cool.
It is cool. I like it.
And like I say, the band really do look after you. You know, I had some things that I went through, and I don't mind telling anybody. I lost my wife a few years ago, and
sorry, Glenn.
The following day, the entire band turned up at my doorstep. We're here. What do you need? You know, it's like, we're here to support you. And so that's a kind, and you know,
that's awesome.
I've worked with huge people, but never ever had that kind of, you know, personal attention. You know, it's like they used to fight over whose bus is Glenn going to be on. You know, because they unlike a lot of other bands, they split themselves up amongst the crew.
Yeah, amongst the crew, they all were different.
We had the lead guitarist Jason Uck on my bus, and then Ivan would have his bus, and he would have people from the crew with it on.
Is he the one who drew wieners on your head?
No, he never did. No, it wasn't him that did that. I'd gone past that point by that time. You know, Good. So this was pre-Five Finger. So, but yeah, they're a cool band to work with. We get looked after. You know, we have a physical therapist on tour with us all the time.
Oh, yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, Wanda. We have great catering. We always carry our own catering team with us, especially when we're going overseas.
Have they announced dates? Are they going back out?
They got a couple festival dates.
Yeah, we've got 4 festivals coming up. We're starting off in August. We're up in Iowa at the grandstand at the State Fair there. And then
cheese curds.
Yeah, right.
And then Orlando, and there's another one that they're vying for at the moment. That'll be the 4 shows that we're going to do this year. But starting in January next year, it's like, forget any time off, because we're going to be out all the way through the year.
And Joe, what about you? When did you feel like a superstar?
It's the first time someone's asked. I guess the first one that comes to mind, I was working for Guns N' Roses and Rock in Rio. And it's kind of like maybe it's because of what you said, but you look out at an audience of 270,000 people.
Yeah.
And they're all just as big of a fan as you, but you actually are the guy working for the band.
Working for them on the stage, yeah.
That made me feel so good about everything in life. I loved Guns N' Roses, and I had a fantastic experience working for them. I had nothing bad to say about any part of it. So that was a big deal for me. That was really meaningful. I felt like one of them, but at the same time, it was cool to be such a big fan and you're working for them.
That's how it was with Five Fingers. It's like, you're kidding me, right? Like, this is beyond amazing. You know, and then I became friends with the band. But we actually had the same kind of thing with the Black Eyed Peas. When we would do them in Japan, we get ready to get on the speed trains, and you know, security be with everybody, getting them on and stuff like that, all the Peas. And Taboo, which is the guy with the long straight hair, he would stop his bodyguards, walk over, shake every crew's hands. He would never be put before us, no matter where we're at. He would get security to stop, leave, say hi to all of us, make sure we're good, and then get on the train. You know, he would never put himself before us, which is amazing. And the other thing too that I did hear, again, going back to Five Finger, and I remember Ivan told me this: if you watch when he sings, he tends to put his hands out like this and not like this.
Yeah.
And what he means by that is he's welcoming you in, not putting you below him.
Interesting.
That's something he tells me a lot. He goes, hey, if you watch a lot of singers, he's not saying that's what they mean or do, but he is saying, I let the crowd know I'm welcoming him in to to what I do. I'm always going like this when I'm singing. I'm never going like this.
Yeah.
I love the idea of that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, made a lot of sense.
Generous people. I mean, we had a custom-made microphone stand for Ivan made, which was in the form of a snake, a cobra, with, you know, LEDs.
Laser beams comes from his eyes.
Yeah. And he says, I'm going to give this away tonight. And basically, that's what he did.
Yeah.
He picked somebody after the audience and get this $8,000 custom-made microphone stand, just gave it to them, case and everything.
Wow. I would have loved that.
Now,
right? Hey, Mom, look what I got. It shoots laser beams from its eyes, too.
Yeah.
Get that out of my house.
I know.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. You know, they're a great band to work for. There's no pressure. There's no us or them situation going off. Everybody looks after everybody else, you know, and I've always took my mythology to working in industries, and like I tell anybody else coming into the industry, don't pigeonhole yourself into one particular area. You know, look and learn. The more you know, the more valuable you are. You
learn how to fix the axle on the bus.
That's it. We were in Germany, the Olympic arena, the old Olympic arena in Germany, which is in Munich.
Munich.
And they have a floor lift there. All the dead cases go down below into the basement. Well, come the end of the night, the floor lift crapped out. And we had like 400 dead cases and some part 4 cases down in the basement. It's like, we ain't going to carry them up the stairs. And not that you could anyway. So it was like, Glenn, go fix the lift. So ended up having to do that, you know. So it was.
You're a handy guy to have around, Glenn.
I try to make myself as useful as possible. You know, I'm usually off the bus, one of the first people off the bus in the morning when we get somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to be, but I'll roll cases in, get shit in. And because the more I can get everybody else's gig sorted out, whether it be flying a PA stack or whatever, the quicker I can get to my job.
Yeah. Do you know how to play anything, Glenn? Instrument?
Piano. And I can play, not great, but I can play, but I never was wanting to be a musician and didn't want to be a rock star myself. I was more into the technical side of things. You know, how can we do this? How can we make this work? How can we do this and it be safe but still look stupidly dangerous at the same time?
Yeah. I love the idea of CeeLo going down the boulevard with the fire piano.
Oh, it's great. It's great. People looking out of their hotel rooms like, oh, that's normal in Vegas. This dude driving down the strip with a piano on fire.
When I was a kid, man, I was a Boy Scout and we did the Tournament of Roses and they had a Star Trek float.
Oh, we used to go there all the time. Like you have to wait overnight and you sit on the side of the road.
Watch the thing. I put the broccoli on the planet.
Yeah?
Yeah, I watched it. I was watching it. And I'm like, you see all that broccoli? That's me. I put that on that planet.
Did you have a lot to put on it, or did it?
Dude, yeah, it was a lot of broccoli, man. A lot of broccoli, but it was the highest one up on the float, so it made me feel really cool because I was way up there.
Yeah. Oh, he's the big guy. He's putting the broccoli on the top.
Yeah. And then I'm a roadie climbing through the truss, going like, "This is bullshit."
I know. Yeah, you got to complain until it's done.
I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like wearing a harness. Anyhow.
Oh, so true.
Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate you taking the time.
It's been fun.
I appreciate you having us, man. Thank you, Joel.
Hey, thanks for watching Party Like a Rockstar. If you're not already subscribed to the Facebook or YouTube channels, do it. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The handle is Party of Stars. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.